Well, it's over, and that's a good thing. But what we watched was a bad thing. So, folks, welcome in. Submit to the High Council, the only show on YouTube that shares a name with the Council from Star Wars, and we're sad to be associated with it. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is my co-host, Caffeinated Wolf, a.k.a. Andy Andrew.
Hail, Jeff. Hail to you. Hail to the chat. Rip Star Wars.
Indeed. Rip this to shreds. Wheezy Bird, my friend, good to see you. Yeah, Yoda didn't sense Jack or, well, we got to wait a little bit into the stream to say what we want to say. Even though it's 10 p.m. here, you got to keep it, buttoned up. But, folks, we just witnessed a dumpster fire, but a hilarious one. Not only in tonight's episode did we see Wire Fu at heights not such seen as like House of Sand and Fog or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. We also watched the worst ending to a Star Wars show ever.
The worst ending to almost anything Disney has ever done.
Yeah, this is like, is this Game of Thrones season, 7 bad or season 5?
I mean, I've never been a Game of Thrones guy, so I can't necessarily relate on that. I did actually see the final season of Game of Thrones, and at least based on what I did know, it was a pretty horrible ending. But this was some other stuff. This was the manifestation of the meme. Yeah, exactly, Enrique. This was the manifestation of the meme. Wow, my expectations were low, and you couldn't even hit those.
Dude, I got the notebook. I got the notes. We're going to be talking about this episode, folks. We're going to be having a lot of fun. But before we start, tonight's video is brought to you by me and Wokebusters. So, folks, there's only 11 days left in the campaign. We're kind of far, but we can make anything happen. This Saturday, I'll be doing a Wokebusters telethon here on the channel to promote the book. So let me know if you'll be joining us on Saturday. It's one of those fun streams where it really isn't a time limit. We'll talk about pretty much whatever, and we'll go as long as we need be. I got a couple cases of Liquid Death. They're not a sponsor yet, and we're going to have a lot of fun on Saturday. So
we'll fix that.
Yeah, we'll fix that. I did contact him the other day, actually. Like I was telling the guys, some Star Trek video game wants us to do like an ad for him. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna do a Star Trek ad on a Star Wars themed, guy's life. So it's gonna be weird.
Yeah, why not?
Rob, yeah, color me surprised too. See, folks, we all knew it was gonna be bad, but just how bad is the amazing part of tonight's show. So, folks, before we get going, hit that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you enjoy this content and share. This channel needs your help, folks. We want to get to 200K before the end of this year. I'm a patient man, but enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Let's kick this shit into high gear. We've been doing our part. You've been doing your part. It's just YouTube. We need your help to beat them. Yeah, it was terrible. It was horrible. It was, as they call her around the X, Lesbian Headband is the worst Star Wars creator to ever touch a Star Wars show, and she gives a bad name to any female creator moving forward because she is the new standard bearer in garbage entertainment.
How bad this was? Here, y'all aren't ready for this. You're really not ready for this. Some of you might not even like this. I feel like I need to cleanse my palate with The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi is less of an offensive thing than this show was. Folks, this show was that dumb. It really... Go to Twitter, check out the Wire Fu video. I'm making sure that I have this episode to clip and put into the review because not only was the Wire Fu bad, they did Liu Kang's bicycle kick from Mortal Kombat. Also, on top of that, the acting really reached a new low. Dude.
Forgot they did that. I forgot they did that.
I made a video of it, but the one of the lightsaber of them flying down the hill or whatever, a lot of people are watching it on X right now. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let this one go. I love that people try to talk shit. Are you just trying to discover Asian like kung fu movies? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I grew up watching kung fu movies. Like, don't even try to bring. Do not invoke kung fu movies in front of me like that.
Yeah, there you go. There were so many problems, folks. There's bad writing, inconsistent characters. The action was laughable, but when it was like the close-knit, like close quarters lightsaber duel, it was pretty cool.
Soul had the one cool move when he was fighting the Acolyte near at the end. When the lightsabers were swooping in behind him, and he stopped them and blasted them away and blasted the Acolyte away. That was like the one cool moment in the whole show.
I thought it was cool too. The whole show, you're right. Because Soul, the best character, is no more, folks.
Not only is he no more, but they didn't just bury him. They didn't even cremate him. They lit his ass on fire figuratively. Not just literally, because that's what the Jedi do. They cremate.
Yep.
They buried his character. They planted the whole thing on him.
Yes. Hashtag stop Asian hates is absolute running. We got to stop the hate, man. Now, the bad guy and the good guy were both Asian in this show, which that's fine. That's the greatest thing about how people want to bitch about Star Wars fans being racist. Not one person has ever said anything about an Asian lead. They're like, okay.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
It's kind of like when it's like, oh man, a black guy's in this movie. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I never read the High Republic books, and I'm not going to because I have better things to do, like literally anything. But I am going to have to do a little more research because I did not want to watch tonight's show at all. Folks, I love doing this show. I love hanging out with you guys. I'm not going to stop that anytime soon. But I did not want to watch The Acolyte tonight. I had a nice day. I had a meeting. I had all kinds of stuff go down. Positive day. I talked about stealing Solo 2 on Twitter, which that's not a joke. Mark Hamill's been saying some terrible shit. So you know what? I'm going to push Christmas 93 off for a little bit, and we're going to do Stealing Solo 2. Not going to crowdfund or anything early. No, I'm just going to start working on it and let you guys know about it. But maybe you'll see less of me on YouTube for a couple days as I map out the cover and the story and a couple things, and we might be seeing some images pop up. I want to build the hype up on this one. But you guys really like the first book. Now it's time for the second one because Mark Hamill's back in the news. But don't worry, folks. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., you can join me on Good Morning Pop Culture. We'll talk about Tenacious D. We'll talk about Mark Hamill. We'll talk about the summer of 1989 and a whole lot more. We're not a political channel, but these celebrities are stepping into the political ring, and it's time to make fun of celebrities who, eat their own and other shit like that. A. Marcellus, thank you for the first super chat of the evening. These Jedi suck. Luke's Jedi from the EU would have wiped Khmer. Kyle Katarn would have done it in one round. We had it good, and we didn't even realize that. Did you like Kyle Katarn, Andrew?
Yeah, I liked him just fine. I'm one of those people. I've said this before. I'm post Return of the Jedi eras in Star Wars don't interest me that much. I like Mara Jade, Thrawn trilogy, all of that. Timothy Zahn did some great work. And it's cool that Luke kind of reconstituted the Jedi Order and kind of corrected some of the things that, the Order maybe fell short on in the past, yada, yada. But beyond that, I didn't really care as much about that as I do all the stuff that came way, way thousands and tens of thousands of years before. I find the Old Republic to be a far more interesting era rather than going forward and going to New Jedi Order and New Republic eras of Star Wars. But that's just me. I'm kind of the minority there, and that's fine.
You are a minority, Andrew.
I am a minority. My last name's Rodriguez. Actually, it depends on what state you're in. That could be the vast majority. In fact, at my local LCS, I'm not even the only Andrew Rodriguez.
Oh, damn. Well, I'm the only Jetpix that walks into a room usually, so I'm happy about that. But we have Soul in the chat right here. Thank you, Jedi Master Soul. The only likable character in this show, not only was force choked out by Osha. Yeah, I didn't misspeak. It was Osha. She switched. She's now evil.
Yeah.
And hold on a second.
Didn't I call that, though? Didn't I call that?
You did. But let me say this, dude. How bullshit. Folks, she grabs Soul's lightsaber. In her rage, turns the Kyber crystal from blue to red, and then she ignites his lightsaber, and then it turns red with anger and hate. What the fuck is this?
That was like the dumbest crap I had ever seen. Like Disney has already done stupid crap with rewriting and retconning how kyber crystals work, but that might have been the dumbest moment of them all.
These are electronic devices, all right? This isn't a mood ring. You don't get to just go, "Ooh, I feel evil, so my lightsaber's red." This was silly. Oh my God. Yeah, you heard that right, Troubles Away. We'll go into detail in just a minute. Our friend Steve Zuzunaga says, "Did you see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Soul?" I did. And I laughed, and you can listen to my laugh on Twitter. I don't ever ham anything up for you guys. If I start cracking up, that's a real laugh. I could not stop laughing. The Liu Kang bicycle kick. Here, let's use this Batman figure to display. He is Khmer, and my fingers are Saul. And he just runs up to him and he goes, and he kicks him across the fucking chest. It was, without a doubt, the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever watched as a Star Wars fan. You know how everyone on Forbes is like, "Oh, it's offensive that it's lower than the holiday special." Watch this episode. Holiday special goes up in stock.
Yeah. It starts to get style points at that point, really.
You're supposed to crack and make the crystal bleed to make it red. So what happens is she throws his lightsaber on the ground and it somehow breaks, but her anger or whatever, like she squeezes it in anger and that's whatever happens. I'm like, what is this?
What's stupid is that they did that and made the lightsaber look like shoddy craftsmanship as well. It made it look like actually the freaking Black Series Elite, as Hasbro likes to call them, Force FX lightsabers, because those things are made like trash. If you want a actual high quality lightsaber, you're going to pay a little bit more, but you're not going to be feeling bad about the quality. This is not necessarily a plug, but go check out Theory Sabers.
Now, I thought she bled into the thing, kilted. Like, I thought her hand was bleeding into the crystal, but I'm like, that makes no sense. Like, why would her blood... A lightsaber... What the fuck? I'm not even going to try to make sense of this shit. It was that dumb. See, that's the problem.
Don't bother hurting your brain trying.
I have tried to play the sensible guy. I've tried to go, let's try to figure out... Fuck that. This was terrible, folks. And you are better off never watching The Acolyte. They can try to shadow ban us for telling you Disney products are crap. Well, guess what? This Disney product is crap. This is horrible. And I even, all my notes, like I said, Osha's anger turns her lightsaber red. Was that blood? Osha is evil with red. Saber now turns red. Like,
stupid. Absolutely stupid.
You shouldn't consider this show canon, folks. You shouldn't ever watch it. The lesbian headband has ruined it for everybody. Rob Brantz, yes, the kyber crystals are now lantern rings. The kyber crystals are now lantern rings. Oh, come on. Yes, and brightest day. Oh, this is the blackest night for Star Wars. This is crap.
Well, I guess that line works with Osha and May, I guess.
So, folks, sit down because you're going to want to hear this. This is a brief overview of the Acolyte. So, we start with Osha and Khmer on the planet, that cave they're in from the last, 2 episodes ago. I know this is professional sounding. So Osha has the helmet on, and she starts to have, her breathing starts to become irregular, and all of a sudden, she's force mind controlling Khmer. His eyes turn black, and he starts to flash in and out of that witch power that we saw the mother use on the bald Jedi. Mm-hmm. Osha saw the future. Osha and Khmer then want to go to May. Then we see May and Sol on the ship. You know how May has been restrained 2 episodes ago. That droid that she reprogrammed, that droid helps her escape. Now, here's my first question, Andrew. Why can't a Jedi who can sense everything, who can kind of see the future, who is all powerful and knowing, how come this mofo cannot sense that she is breaking out of her shackles right in front of him?
Oh, so you mean, why can't he conveniently... Why is it that he can conveniently not do the very thing that he did 2 episodes ago?
That was exactly my question. It's like...
Because it's exactly what happened last time. He sensed her intentions And he stopped her and he restrained her. So all of a sudden, this time, he can't.
He's feeling guilty. That's it. That's why he's the bugger.
That has to be it. He's got that white guilt, man. Asian men, they're the new whiteys.
That's why people on the internet don't complain, because they're the new white. What is the internet, man?
Stupid. That's what it is.
Al Gore, what have you done? And before anybody sends me an email to info@worldclassbullshitters.com, I know Al Gore didn't invent the internet. It was just his idea and his money. And his roommate, Tommy Lee Jones, came up with it at Harvard. So let's thank him, the real creator of the internet.
Thank you, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. Wait, killed and Jason. Anyway. So
that's good.
May then uses the little droid to shock Soul, and she escapes. She goes, "Oh my God, an escape ship." Her words. She jumps in, she puts on this helmet. She looks so doofy. It's like the helmet doesn't fit her head. It's so tiny, and she's like flying into the planet. It looks like shit. So Soul chases her. They go through an asteroid field, which, well, it's not even an asteroid field. It's the ring of a planet, and they fly through it like it's a chasm. And it looked fine, but I thought to myself, is this where the budget went? Because they have to render each individual.
Yeah, like I'll give them that. Like that scene looked solid. Like that was reminiscent of episode 2 when Obi-Wan was chasing Jango. Remember, through the asteroid field, and we have one of the most satisfying sound effects in cinematic history.
Oh God, yeah, dude!
You can hear it in your head right now.
Look, I'll dump on episode 2, but I'll give credit where credit's due. That was an awesome scene.
It was a great sequence, and that scene in this episode was actually solidly done. However, it was only solid up until a certain point, because then for no discernible reason that I can figure out, and I went back and rewatched the scene just to make sure I wasn't completely like inept mentally, or maybe I missed something. But Basil, the stupid space rat, just randomly, right when Soul is about to catch up to May, disables his ship.
Yeah. Why? Because she's evil the whole time, and later in this episode, he's tracking her down. Like, I don't get why in this moment. See, folks, the entire show, Soul is this balanced Jedi. He's the best character. Then you see what happened 16 years ago, and he wasn't really that evil because the mom becomes a space cloud and tries to attack him. So he stabs that space cloud.
Yeah, like in that sequence, like if I'm putting myself in Soul's shoes and I see this little girl that I'm trying to save over here, and I see the mom here who I'm already sus on, she starts to like not decompose, but like atomize into this like gaseous cloud of dark matter. I already know these bitches be witches, so like I'm already sus on them, and now it looks like she's doing some creepy dark magic stuff, right? I don't know what she's gonna actually end up doing. Is she gonna attack me? Is she gonna attack the little girl? What's she gonna do? I have no idea, right? And on top of that, the little girl, who we find out was May, not Osha, he thought it was Osha initially, but we see the little girl start to also come apart at the seams and turn into this weird gaseous, you know, black magic looking stuff. And not black girl magic, like, you know, stupid ass movie.
I need that clip, please, folks.
But what the hell am I supposed to do, right? So I'm like, well, I'm going to stop the bitch. And so he stabs the bitch. And I don't know, like he keeps saying I did the right thing. Yeah, I don't know why you're trying to convince me. Like I do think you did the right thing.
Yeah, like
because the thing is, then after like he stabs her and she reforms into her full body and she's dying on his shoulder or whatever. And she's like, I was going to let her go with you. You weren't acting like it.
No.
Nothing about your behavior gave me the impression that you were going to let this little girl go peacefully.
They should have just been like, hey, we're going to write this to make him actually seem like a bad guy, because they didn't. This show thinks because he's a guy with some power that he's inherently evil, when Lesbian Headband, who has all the power on the show, produces this shit. So who's really evil?
She is.
She's the worst.
They were desperate to make us believe that the Jedi were the evil ones here. Like the only one that I can consider a lot of them incompetent. The only one that's like actually sus was Leslie Headland's wife. Like her was Venestra. Like she was actually acting shady. Whereas the rest of them, it's like, okay, like I actually kind of get your reasoning and I'm not really mad at you. But they were desperate to make us like be against Soul. And as we've said so many times, he was the most likable character in the show. He was the only good character in the show. And then what did they do? They literally blame it all on him at the end.
Oh yeah, let's
and
keep
just destroy his character in the Jedi history books
for what very little character was there. But I don't get what they're trying to. I even wrote that later in my notes. What type of message are they trying to show with this? Here it is. There's literally the last two notes are, what kind of message is this? And then Osha is now evil with Kamir because they held hands together. Anyway, back to the note. So May crashes on the planet. The senator at the Jedi Temple is like, there's a senator at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. He has issues with the Jedi and their power. So he talks to Venestra, and she accidentally lets it slip that there are many murders that they're investigating, not just the one he's heard about. And he calls the Jedi a cult. They have too much power. I'm like, this is too forced. What is this? And I even wrote, this is too much. And it's more deconstruction, folks. That's the problem here. We have stupid writers in entertainment. They get these jobs because of who they know, which is kind of always how it goes. But nowadays, they're just worried about like telling the same type of story to deconstruct, the modern day myth, whatever they're trying.
It's like what they keep trying to do with superheroes as well. They just want to deconstruct what we know and hold to be good and try and turn it into this like gray, actually evil at their core thing. You don't have to be evil in order to have flaws, and it's stupid. It's piss poor writing. And to your point, I wrote the deconstruction thing as well, but on top of that, I also added that senator was actually basically a self-insert plant for the writers who themselves, they're not Star Wars fans, and they were that senator was effectively saying the quiet part out loud for the writers and telling us what they think of the actual literal good guys in this series. This is what the writers think about the Jedi. This is what the writers think about the good guys. They think that they're evil, that they're a cult.
The only thing I'll dump on the Jedi for, two things. One, you can't bang, and two, you wear robes all day. So basically, you're Jesus with a lightsaber. Okay, fine, whatever. But I don't like how the Jedi became the Jedi in the prequels. I liked it when they could do cool stuff. Again, they look boring. They look like monks. But I don't think they should be deconstructed. Yes, it is contrived writing, folks. It's terrible writing. So we jump back to the planet Kamir and Osha are on, and he asks her if she'd ever train, and she goes, no. And then out of the shadows, Darth Plagueis appears. Like the Darth
Purportedly. Like he's not named, but who else would it really be? It would make even less sense for it to be anyone else than it already makes for it to be him.
I have the original Black Series Darth Plagueis action figure from like 2011 or 2013, and it looks just like that. It's creature, and that's all I know.
It's a moon. There's no reason for it to not be him, especially since we know that Leslie Headland has already said she has plans for Plagueis in the future. I
hope she doesn't have plans for Star Wars, because that chick is the worst. No.
Dude, she was next level bad for Star Wars. Like this didn't divide the fandom like because Rian Johnson already did that, right? He already did that with Last Jedi. The fandom was already divided. But she did put out objectively a worse piece of Star Wars content. Front to back, both in lore and just overall quality, cinematography, scripting, acting, all of it.
If gun to my head, if I had to watch one or the other, probably The Last Jedi. Oof.
It's a hard pill to swallow, right? Kind of makes you feel a little dirty.
Well, after tonight, I really have lost, and this isn't like to be funny on the show, folks. I'm not into Star Wars like anymore. This is dead. Like this, I stuck it out far too long, to be perfectly honest. But I tried. Hope is always the last thing to go, and now that's out the window. I'm reassessing a lot of stuff in my life. But I will make fun of Star Wars and stealing Solo too. Mark Hamill, we're coming for you. And no, that's not the title. Okay, so let's move on. Darth Plagueis appears from the shadows. Ooh, then we see the Green Jedi and her crew go to Brendok. We watch Sol walk through the Coven of Witches. He can hear the murders from the past. So May looks at the remains of her coven, her past home as well. And then we see Osha and Kamir appear, and they have to reactivate an elevator. But Kamir's like, I can do it this way. And he kind of disappears in the Force. So that's what happens. Then Kamir and Sol fight. They have a lightsaber duel. It's pretty solid until the wire fu scene.
Oh, yeah, the wire.
Dude.
It was bad.
All you need to play is, why am I drawing a blank on the name of the song? The one from The Matrix, where they, do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of I listened to that song. Spy Break. There we go. Play Spy Break.
Yep.
So after the lightsaber duel and the wire fu, we cut back to the sisters talk. The reason Osha quit the Jedi is because she was too guilty about what happened to May. Folks, this gets...
You can't make this up.
It gets worse. Keep listening.
It does. Yeah. I can't believe that it did, but it does.
She says that Sol is the reason that she has negative emotions. Then they fight, and they have a Mortal Kombat style brawl. These chicks are doing kung fu. They are whooping each other's
so hard.
Yeah, it's shit. It's kind of laughable, but it is what it is.
When she did the freaking kip up to dodge the low spin kick, I was like, no.
Dude, Shawn Michaels is rolling in his grave, but he's not dead yet. But he's so embarrassed by a kip up of that.
He's preemptively rolling in his grave, is what it is.
Yeah, he's like, listen, Vince, I know you're not in charge anymore, but have the Undertaker bury me one more time. I can't live.
Yeah.
So the lightsaber duel continues some more. Let's see. Sol destroys Kamir's lightsaber, which was kind of cool. And folks, you finally got the thing you all want to see. He used the Force to turn off a lightsaber and pull it back and do all that shit. So that was in there, and it doesn't save anything. So let's stop fantasy booking our dream lightsaber duels, because once you see them on screen, that's the thing. A lightsaber duel is only as interesting as the characters who are engaged in the duel. When you got a doofus, a weirdo, and some chick, you don't give a shit about any of them. And that's what happens with this show. So May saves Kamir and takes Sol's lightsaber, throwing it and breaking it. Then she makes Sol admit that he kills the mom. But she said, murder's my mother, and it's not murder if it's in self-defense.
Nope.
The lady was attacking Sol. Here's the thing, folks. Don't show these characters. Don't try to paint these characters as innocent and then show their actions, and it's a reaction to what they did first. This isn't angry Jedi going out of his way to, try to steal children. He wanted to figure out where this vengeance in the Force came from, and the mom was like, we're not going to let you train, blah, blah, blah. So they were going to leave, and then they attack. Because the mother attacked the bald guy eventually, the kid Jedi. She got into his brain and fucked with him. Leslie Headland, you and your crew are terrible at writing, because you should not have shown these witches to be actually evil. You should have written them to be misunderstood. And so when the Jedi act against them, you realize the Jedi made a mistake. But you showed them as the antagonists, but because they're lesbian space witches, that in your lesbian space witch yourself, maybe that's why you wrote them as the hero, as the good guy. Maybe you should stop putting yourself in stories and focus on something that would make sense in the greater scheme of things. Let's read what our friend Cross has to say. Deconstruction is intended to improve a new product based on the structure of the previous product, not to degrade it. Yeah, this degraded Star Wars, again, I don't know what else to tell you guys besides this is terrible. Do you want me to scream and break something? There, I crunched a can. There you go. I'm fine. So,
let's Stone Cold.
Oh, don't tempt me. I got another one. I got a sport coat on. I'm not going to. Maybe I will one day. I've seen Stone Cold do the Stone Cold salute once. I was too young to catch a beer, though.
Bummer.
So, back to this terrible show. Osha then force chokes Soul, killing him.
Yep, she kills him.
As she's killing him, oh, don't worry, TLJ Screwjob. We talked about the bicycle kick. I'll bring it up again on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Osha then squeezes the lightsaber, and I thought it was blood, but I couldn't tell. That's why I kind of crossed out my note. But she squeezes this broken lightsaber, and I guess her blood turns it red, and it makes the Kyber crystal then project a red lightsaber blade. So it's not like... So I guess the Kyber crystal is just like a one of those filters you'd put over a projector. Like, ooh, now the wall's green. Now it's blue. It's like, oh my God, my blood's on this object that is so hot that it can cut through metal. No, my blood is going to change the color of this light blade.
Absolutely. That's the only thing that makes any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So let's see. There's still two more pages of notes. Soul dies. Osha is evil, and she now has the red lightsaber. We watch the green lady sensing Kamir as soon as their ship lands.
Mm-hmm.
The twins climb down a pit. We now learn how May survived. I was sucked into this exhaust port when the thing exploded. It's like, great.
Right, and you, as a 8-year-old girl, survived that because that wasn't totally a 50 to 100 foot drop.
By the way, it's not her bleeding a crystal. Her hand bleeds on it. Like, the blood would bubble away. It's hot. Like, I'm sorry.
The thing can cut through like a foot worth of Durasteel door, right? So I'm loath to be convinced that the blood would actually not.
And also, too, I don't care if it's established as bleeding the crystal. It's fucking stupid. Just flat out stupid. You all want to hold on to canon. Disney doesn't even hold on to canon. So why do I have to review it within canon? Fuck this. This was a terrible show. The holiday special was canon when it came out, and it was crap, too. So the twins climb down to the pit. The Jedi are trying to follow the girls. The twins then stop in front of this weeping willow tree and literally cry. They're like, I waited for you. And then they look like they're about to like kiss. It's really fucking awkward.
Yeah.
So then Kamir appears and goes, if I can find you, so can the Jedi. So Osha agrees to go with Kamir to save May.
Yeah.
Kamir then says, I will wipe May's mind and she will forget everything. So the Jedi who arrest her will have no use for her and they can't get any information out of her.
Mm-hmm.
They cry, they hug, they do that stupid girl, 1 of 2, 2 of 1. I don't care. The show is done. Then they do that crap.
That's not bad. That was better than the shows.
Yeah, I didn't put any thought into it. I guess neither did they.
They put even less than that.
So in the middle of this sentence, Kamir wipes her mind and she's like,
I can no longer remember our little sister twin handshake stupid poem thing.
She never once goes, oh my God, you look just like me. What the fuck is happening right now?
Right? Nothing crossed her mind in that. Like, okay, you wiped out the last, whatever it was, supposed to be, 15, 16 years of your memories. Okay, but that didn't wipe out what your own face looks like, right?
Nope. But you know what? Let's not worry about that. We're thankfully near the end of the show.
Semantics, details.
Well, there were some antics in the making of this show. So we now see May talk to the Green Jedi, and May's memory is wiped, and the Jedi says, tell me what happened, and she basically lets her know that your memory's been wiped, you only have the memory of an 8-year-old, blah, blah, blah. So then this Jedi, Vanestra, meets with the Republic Council, and she blames it all on Soul. She just flat out says Soul was a rogue Jedi who killed all of his comrades after they committed this atrocity 16 years ago.
This was your friend, and you literally just blamed all of these deaths on him.
Yep.
Really.
It was all his fault. Now, the council never once, they go, oh, because of this matter, we just have to rush through it. They literally say they just got to rush through this. So no one's ever going to look into this ever again. Ever. They're not going to go, why did Homeboy wait 16 years to kill these people? They're never going to go, oh, he was here. They can fucking track. There is a record of where this dude is. There is a transponder that lets you know where his ships are. They had to go into the Jedi records apparently and wipe out all of his last couple of weeks or however long the show took because they blame it all on him. Yet we have witnesses to what the fuck happened in the first episode. There's a bar full of people. No. And other people have sent reports. This green chick thinks that she's going to go ahead and defend the honor of this fucking kid she's never met who's now a grown woman. What kind of message is this? Really, think of it for a second. You don't have to break it down to woke or anti-woke. Break it down to what is Leslie Headland's fucking damage? Who hurt her? It wasn't Harvey. Was it her sister? Who wrote this shit and who is it for? This is really damaging because it goes to show you, if something bad happens to you, being bad is okay. And being bad is how you get back at the bad thing. No longer are stories of growth or forgiveness a thing. Fuck Spider-Man when he looked into the eyes of the fucking Sandman and goes, I forgive you. Yeah, that was powerful or something. But no, we need these fucking angry chicks revenge story in Star Wars because the producer and the head showrunner is an idiot. Like, fuck you, lady. I hope you see this clip. You're going to laugh. Oh, you're so pissed. No, I'm not pissed at, like, you ruining Star Wars. One, I'm questioning how you get a job and what you had to do to get where you are, because you are not qualified to write any fucking thing. This is your, like, payment for whatever you know. I don't even get into the conspiracy shit, but you clearly know shit. Everybody in Hollywood knows fucked up shit happens, and you were on the inside, and you'll never tell because you got this. This is the same kind of shit. The bad man, he did it. He's the one. Let's go. Keep going, though. We then jump to another planet. We see Kamir and Osha holding hands. They're now evil together. And then Venestra goes into a chamber and says, Master, it's done. And she's talking to fucking Yoda. So
yeah, we see the back of old Yoda. Here's the thing. They couldn't even get this right. It looked like they were using the same freaking puppet from Empire.
Which would make no sense because this is 100 years before Phantom Menace?
Yeah, it's like 100 years before Phantom Menace, or at least 100 years before the fall of the Republic.
And so if it's 100 and let's say 120 years until we see him in The Empire Strikes Back, I get it that he's a 900-year-old character, but a ninth of his life, he's like 1/9 younger. You're going to look fucking different. And if you look different in subsequent appearances in the timeline before The Empire Strikes Back would take place, again, it's not about nerding out. It's you got to make this shit make sense to some degree. And you have $180 million. Where the fuck did that money go? You didn't pay other people to make this show. There's about 12 actors in this whole show. It's a very small show. For being $180 million, there had to be some garbage going. You're going to get an Acolyte motorcycle button. Trust me. You're going to get a lot of Acolyte buttons. Our friend Jason Evangelista says, Wikipedia has changed Plagueis' backstory, which now includes mentoring Osha and May in his backstory.
I want to make I did make this correction in the chat as well. They updated the canon, quote unquote, entry for Plagueis. They didn't alter the Legends entry, aka true canon, as far as most of us are concerned. But I just wanted to make sure that delineation was made. It's not that they changed his backstory that was already there. They updated the canon entry, which basically had no information on it whatsoever, because other than like the name having been dropped by Sidious in episode 3, there was no information in what Disney considers canon. So it's still stupid because also he hasn't. I don't know why they would update it with that, because he didn't train Osha or May at all. Like, he had no interaction with them from what we've seen. Now, if something else happens in this if this show gets a second season.
Yeah, well, hey, don't put that kind of negative juju out in the universe, my friend, okay? Things
Look,
are
man,
crazy enough right now.
I'm feeling pretty dire. I just watched 2 episodes of The Acolyte in a single day because I had to catch up on last week's. So I was ready to put a lightsaber through my skull before I even got to the finale.
But at least you laughed, right? Because I definitely laughed.
I certainly laughed. Laughter was had.
Yeah, that's all that was had.
Sometimes you have to laugh the darkness away.
You can't laugh the Acolyte away, though. Trouble08 says, Jeff, we need an Acolyte motorcycle button. Yeah, I'll have one for Thursday. Not for Good Morning Pop Culture in the morning, folks, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be talking about a lot more. We won't even really be talking about the Acolyte. This is the Acolyte show. Watch this. Tomorrow, we're talking about Mark Hamill and Jack Black and summer of 1989 and a whole lot more. I'll even tell you a little more about Wokebusters. Xavier God says, do you guys prefer the red lightsabers having the fake synthetic crystal the Sith use, or the user makes colors of the crystal for their saber? Well, personally...
Well, traditionally, it was a synthetic crystal because the Sith did not have access to the kyber crystal deposits, at least on the planets where the Jedi typically got them. The Jedi actually kind of had not a complete monopoly on that, but kind of did. And so the Sith would use synthetic ones, and that was perfectly fine for me. Like I would have been equally as happy if, say, the planets that they typically lived on and trained on had different variations of the kyber crystals, and those just happened to make red lightsabers. Fine, good enough. I don't really care. It's still a lightsaber, and it's a cool as shit weapon. The bleeding thing, it's dumb. I'm not here for it.
Xavier to God, I love having you on, so don't take this way, but I don't care. Personally, this is the part of Star Wars that I find boring, and it makes it like everything else. When Star Wars had a little air of mystery to it, you're like, the bad guys use red lightsabers and the good guys use blue or green. That's as deep as it ever should have gone. Like, cinematically, that's as deep as it goes, because what's important to a novel is not important to a movie. One's a visual medium, one is a text-based medium. Of course, you write a script for a movie, but there's things that you do differently. Andrew, you know this. You look at scripts.
Sure.
I don't think that kind of stuff is really, like, you should never really put that in a Star Wars movie. It's like, people are like, what? Got to remember, folks, too, if you've ever read a book of Star Wars, you're far ahead of most of the people who consume Star Wars. It is a cinema franchise that has books and ancillary materials. But at its core, Star Wars is a series of movies. And if you put if you put stuff out there that doesn't really line up with what people know from the movies, they're not going to go, oh, it's in the books, let me go read the books. They're going to go, what? That's what's happening. It's been happening for years, ever since you now wiped out the EU, but you're pulling from, like, it's a confusing mess. But I just really think bad guy should have red, good guy should have blue or green, maybe the occasional yellow or purple. That's for Samuel L. Jackson. Like, I miss it too, Drunk Banana. I miss it too. I miss this being fun. It's fun to lampoon Star Wars. It's fun to hang out with you guys and talk about it.
I miss Star Wars being fun. I'm a Star Wars fan. I've got this metallic case Boba Fett Black Series.
Boba
That's
Fett,
pretty cool.
Where?
I've got we got a Mara Jade Black Series. This was a recent re-release. It's pretty cool.
Fancy.
It's a good looking woman there. I've got Revan, my favorite Star Wars character, right here. I got a lot of these lying around. I've also got all 6 of the movies on DVD.
I got Robin.
Nice. I have a rock.
That's how I feel. I got Robin. Who wants Robin? Can we kill him?
We have plenty of his trusty sidekick Booster in stock. That's basically what that sounded like.
Dude, you know what? I didn't plan this, but you brought up Turbo Man. Here's Turbo Man right here.
Yeah.
He's just like, he chills over here on this shelf.
That's so amazing. I love it.
It was just good timing. It's Turbo time. God, I love that.
Turbo time.
I don't know what the hell. Now into Skeleton Crew, no. I am changing a lot of stuff with this channel. I'm not doing more Star Wars. Fuck it. There will be the review for this because it's part of the series, and there'll be the post-mortem for Saturday, which I'm going to talk about. How the hell do you spend $180 million on this? That's the video for this week. So
where'd the money go?
Yeah.
I don't see where it went.
Up a nose, down a toilet, into the wind. I don't care. It's just not on.
Maybe it went up a nose.
If you can come up with $120 million worth of snow to go up your nose, holy shit, you must look like, what is his name? Artie Lang.
You must look like Leslie Headland.
That's why she's so fuck ugly, man. It just... Look, I'm not really here to rip on this lady's face. Nature did it to her, so I don't care. But this show is terrible. It pissed me off.
Breaks, man.
Something broke, all right? A lot of stuff. Yeah, I need a memory wipe, too. The memory wipe is one of the laziest. Everything about this show was lazy. God, I mean, you go from, we're going to wipe the memory, we're going to do this, we're going to hide this, we're just going to everyone's just going to blindly accept and not question anything, the official story, we're just going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know, what the hell were they thinking? And if there would be an Acolyte season 2, what is it? Are we going to watch Osha and Kamir run around and love each other in space while the other one tries to find her memory? Kathleen Kennedy, you already are stupid. You have made nothing but terrible decisions at Lucasfilm since you've been the president. But I swear to God, if you make an Acolyte season 2, you are as dumb as everyone says you are. Like, seriously, I'm holding back from saying something for YouTube's sake, but it starts with an R. And you are that lady. If you fucking hire this chick again for another show, come on, my God. Like, why do they think this would be interesting to the demographic that consumes Star Wars? In what world would they think, oh man, the guys, which is a 90% guy franchise, oh, you may know Star Wars fans that are female, but go to these cons. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a 50-50 blend.
No.
It's not. And let's stop acting like it is. Some things appeal to men and women differently. This show and everything from Disney feels like a commercial to get girls to like Star Wars. And every time it doesn't work, all you do is make the pre-existing fan base go, I don't like these characters. Why? It's because they're women and you're a bigot? No, I don't like these characters because they're poorly written. What, are you stupid? No, I don't like these characters because they're mean-spirited and they're illogical. You can always come back with 1,000,001 reasons why these shows are terrible. And you should definitely fight with your words, folks. Or let us do it, because none of you really give a shit about this one. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers for this show. They have to make up. Go back and watch my video, which the title, it says like faked data. Because the people, they basically paid a fake marketing firm to come up with analytics to show that this show was great. Like, they made up their own metrics. It was the #1 show on a Thursday that had over 100 million minutes watched.
It's my favorite thing. I love when they do that. When you look at the fine print, you see the qualifiers of how it was like the #1 thing. It's like, oh, this was literally the only day they could have done that.
Yep. In this small window of time, from 10:48 to 10:49, it was the #1 most watched show on the internet. Like, oh my God.
Congratulations.
Sorry.
Really broke that glass ceiling there, Leslie.
Oh, I'm just so glad that women like Kathleen Kennedy and Lesbian Headband. I'm sorry, her name's Leslie Headland, but somebody called her Lesbian Headband on the show, and I can't stop laughing at that. If you're out in the chat, take credit for it. You're the real MVP of tonight's show. But, you have something that there are expectations with. Any kind of branded entertainment, there are expectations, and you should follow those because... And I know this sounds a little crazy, but when you're making your own stuff, you have the creative reign to do whatever you'd like. It's your own thing. But when you're coming
you're the DM of that world.
Yeah, and be the best DM you can be. But, don't come into somebody else's game and shit on the game board. Don't take the pieces and fling them out the window. Don't rub your ass all over the Monopoly money. Like, these are things that we don't have to write in the rules because most people aren't that dumb. But what I'm getting with the Acolyte is that, like, nobody gets it. You have to make up a timeline. We have to go back 100 years before episode 1 so we can do anything we want. But then you pull in characters that already exist. Then you pull in things from the EU that already kind of aren't completely... Like, I would pay good money to go sit in on a meeting with these people. I wouldn't say shit. I just want to take my own notes. I want to know what is their damage and how they operate, because you cannot tell me. And I know people in the chat were saying, oh, nobody sets out to make anything bad. Yes, you don't set out to make anything bad, but you also, these people lack the self-awareness to realize what they make is shit. You know, I've drawn a million pictures. Some of them are awesome. Some of them are printed. Some of them are shit. And it's not even the old stuff. Someday you're just like, this hand is off, or this is weird posed. Some days you're off. It's just the thing as an artist. These people who claim to be artists aren't really artists, because they take their worst sketch and they go, look what I did. And it's not very good. But then they have this, but it represents this, my damage, my emotional connection with my sister.
Gosh, no one
what
gives
you
a
have
shit
is a
about
fucking,
your damage, woman.
I don't care about your damage. All they do is have a goddamn scribble on a piece of paper and it says Star Wars. You know what? You spoke to Kathleen's heart. Here's the purse strings. Open it up. Take what you need. This is more expensive than Revenge of the Sith. And Revenge of the Sith is pretty damn awesome in comparison. Let's see. Xavier to God says, Windu had a purple lightsaber because he was both light side and dark side of the Force and made his own version of the seventh form of lightsaber style. I did not know that. My Mace Windu knowledge begins and ends with the movies and the action figures, as in he had a blue lightsaber in the first toy release. I have that toy somewhere. And, you know, I love that people still have hope in the chat. You know, what about a show like this? What about a show like that? Keep those in your minds, because no matter what they'll produce, it'll never be as good as what you think it could be. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't want what you want. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't even think about what it'd be. Like, in your mind, folks, dream up your stories. Hell, write them down. You don't have to turn it into fan fiction. Go, but man, I'd love to see this as a story. Think about it. I got Spider-Man ideas in my head. I have plans for that day. I don't know why, but I want to do a Spider-Man car chase in a comic book. I think it would be really cool to see Spider-Man on the highway doing shit. Not him driving the car. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to have him drive a car. That happened in the 60s and it was stupid. Even wore a little bowler hat and we'll talk about it. But you just, folks, have fun. Keep the faith. Don't be cynical. Don't let my displeasure with this show change who you guys are. Like, I'm not going to change who I am over this show. I'm just pissed that I wasted. The thing is, I didn't waste 8 hours to watch this show. Each episode's like 30 to 40 minutes. It's not like it's a long series at all.
Even the freaking finale wasn't really any longer. It was the same length as the prior week's episode.
I don't.
No extra effort put into it whatsoever.
When I watched Dexter, when I watched Breaking Bad, thank you. When I watch all of these shows, the build up to the finale was intense. I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss some people off. The build up to the Boys finale is much better than the build up to the Acolyte finale. At least the Boys has one or two things that's interesting. I know there's a 5th season, so we're not going to see Homelander die, but I need to know what's going on. I'm interested. Am I turned off by the politics? It's too much. The whole what's bothering you, what's got you down, Antifa. I was like, what the fuck? What a stupid way to open a show. You can't go political without having a story first. And that's what I get with a lot of this stuff, including the Acolyte. I try not to harp on feminism. I don't have any problems with women at all. What I have a problem with is bad storytelling. And maybe I do have a problem with morality, meaning when you write a story, I don't like to see bad characters get away with shit, because Star Wars is not a gray area story. It's a black and white. It is a good versus evil. No one is good or bad in this show, and it's not interesting like it sounds on paper. You watch this green Jedi lady betray her friend for what fucking reason? So women can stick together. I'm like, seriously, folks, I'm not trying to get on a high horse. That is the message in the show. It's very transparent. Am I making this up, dude?
No.
I didn't think. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to be like very balanced about this and let the people know what's actually in the show.
That's what it feels like.
I can't come up with something better. And I'm going to think about this for a day or two. I'm going to think about this till the end of the week, really. And then I'm going to try to mind wipe myself from the Acolyte. And usually what I would do is I would go get the original Star Wars on and I'd watch the Death Star battle. I know the Battle of Yavin, but I call it that. And that usually would cleanse the palate and it would get the heart pumping, especially when the drum's beating down and Luke's on his, the final descent. And here comes Vader and the other guys with him. And you can hear the music in my head right now as I'm saying it. I have you now. Look, made my face light up. I'm happy thinking about that. But that's that. And then if you think about it for 5 more minutes, I was like, oh man, Han Solo runs out on his kid because his kid became an evil Jedi because Luke tried to kill him in his sleep. Okay, well, that's stupid. Yeah. Oh man, Princess Leia died because she died because she was sad on that planet waiting for Rey to come back. Oh, she was sad she never had a daughter. Oh well. What about Chewbacca? Nothing. Lando, he's just there. Like, you think about it, you watch these, you go, fuck, man. Like, that is the problem I have with so much entertainment. When you try to dig up and extend things, you can't. You got to remember, like, if a character rides happily off into the sunset, that's where the character lives with the audience's mind. Meaning when you talk about the character or you even talk about the possibility of reintroducing the character, people go, oh man, cool. But if you end a character on a bad note, and let's go back. Ending on a good note. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Everybody loves that ending. Oh man, he's coming back in this 4th movie. That's going to be great because that last one was awesome. And then it sucks. And then they're like, there's a 5th one, another one? You can't keep parading out a character. They're not rubber. They will not bounce back like the fictional version they are in the film. Public perception changes from these things and does not recover. Indiana Jones is a DOA character forever. I don't care if he pops up in Fortnite. No fucking kid knows who Indiana Jones is. Oh, but if the dad's going to play, that's like 4 guys because dad's off playing Call of Duty or something with balls. I can't watch these characters become a joke and then still go and buy their toy or still go and wear their shirt or still be a fan of the thing they're a part of. I become embarrassed that the people that are in charge are that dumb. And that's why I went on about Axel F. I fucking love Beverly Hills Cop 4. Why? Because they did my boy right. I got to say 2024 might be a bad year for Star Wars and some of these other shows you guys hate. But for me personally, Axel Foley came back. I saw The Rock win at WrestleMania. It's been a pretty good year overall. And now we got Woke Busters and Stealing Solo 2 and all this other good shit. Like, I'm going to go grab onto the good stuff. But Star Wars,
what you got to do, man.
Yeah, but Star Wars can suck a fat one, man. Like, at the end of the day, and again, folks, I know I talk about this often, but if you look at this shelf back here of collectibles, I have this giant Star Wars poster because I got it cheap and it's blocking a couple things that are stacked up here, but there is not a Star Wars section in this room. This office is stuff from my childhood, Spider-Man, Power Rangers, The Rock, Batman, collectibles from Japan. There's no Star Wars. And I have thousands of dollars of this shit. When I was a kid, I had so many Star Wars figures. When I was in college, me and my buddy would go out and collect them. Hell, I even had a girlfriend in college who would buy them for me as a gift. We'd go out to dinner. I'd take her flowers and chocolate or whatever she wanted, and I'd get Star Wars figures. And it was awesome. It was fun back then. But now it's like, fuck it all. I don't want to look at this stuff. And I'm not like, I don't sit around and cry or freak out. But when you watch your favorite thing kind of just get thrown over like an old body, you're just like, oh man, that's it. It loses its luster and you just want it to go away. You leave it. And that's where I am. I'm leaving Star Wars. I'm contemplating making a couple of big changes for the channel even. So this show, while funny, was so terrible. I hated it.
It was bad top to bottom. There was nothing actually redeeming about this show. The most redeeming thing that it had going for it was Soul, and they literally buried him.
Yep, and then she lit him on fire, and his body...
And then blamed him for everything.
He didn't even do anything wrong.
Nope.
Like, they go there, and they go back, and they attack... Here's the thing. He didn't go back to steal Osha. He went back to stop that other guy who was looking for the virgins because he wanted to leave the planet. Those Jedi were forced there by the council, probably Vernestra. So what did Soul actually do wrong? Because he tried to stop the other guy from doing something. Then he spoke to the ladies. They attack him. He defends himself. Then he tries to save the girls, but only can save the one. And all the other Force witches die because they're trying to mind control the Wookiee. And Carrie-Anne Moss uses the Jedi mind trick to basically free the Wookiee's mind, which kills all the girls or all the witches. And
which
then
doesn't really make any sense, but okay. I didn't really like any of them anyway.
No.
So I don't know
And
why
then,
I'm supposed to care.
and then, buddy, to top it off, the fire that everybody knew was caused by May. It was still caused by May, but it was a mistake. And so what we have here is a muddled mess. It feels like a real life murder. You're just like, what the fuck happened? And you piece it together the best you can. You can only make so much sense of it. And then you realize it's time to close this case and move on. And that's what it is with this show, this franchise, this series. It's great what came out almost 50 years ago. It was a game changer. It changed movies. It changed entertainment as a whole. The way toys are produced, everything was influenced by that first Star Wars movie. And it was good. It was real good. And then you got 2 follow-ups that are awesome. And then a couple years pass, it comes back, and it ends on a high note, and we were all happy. Even the people that hated Jar Jar. Once episode 3 dropped, we were like, you know what? Star Wars is great. Let's just leave it at that. Hey, there's a TV show. Let's all watch it. Hey, there's video games. Let's all buy them. Hey, there's a convention around the world. Let's all go and celebrate this thing. What is there to celebrate, man? What is there to celebrate?
Nothing.
Folks in the chat, tell us
the only
what is there to celebrate.
celebratory thing is that the show's over.
And I'm very happy about that. If I had a beer with me right now, I'd be cracking it. But I wouldn't be able to stop with one beer after what I watched.
No.
Hello to the fellow Jeff in the chat. Folks, we have almost 500 people watching. Hit that thumbs up button. YouTube. And folks, if you're new, if you're just finding it, subscribe to WCBS. We have all kinds of interesting content about the entertainment you love and a whole lot more. And I know you guys love the toy videos. I went out and guess what? I got new footage. Ahsoka toys are now at Ollie's. Stacked. I probably found about 100 Ahsoka dolls. Those high-end ones where she talks. Nobody wants that shit. You know what's great, too? Behind that, my Ollie's was trying to hide. You know that Jedi, the kiddie show that's out, the Jedi Adventures that looks like a cartoon?
Yeah,
that's already at Ollie's, too. Like, already.
Look, this is not surprising. Not only has just Star Wars merch been piss poor in its sales for the most part since Last Jedi, and arguably since Force Awakens, at least to a degree. But even beyond that, kids aren't into Star Wars these days. The only kids that do like Star Wars like it because their parents got them into it. Star Wars is, at this point, it had a window for the generations that were interested in it. It was your folks and us for the majority of it. Like, that's not to say that there aren't some even older people that enjoy it, or some younger, because that would be a lie. But the bulk of the Star Wars fandom exists between those two generations. Our folks and us.
Yep.
And so these toys that they keep making that are very clearly, they're not collector's items. They're not, where is it? Where's my first edition Cal Kestis? So this boy right here, white box, Black Series, Cal Kestis. It's not, the stuff that they're putting out isn't this cool shit that like you and I would be willing to buy, right? It's that super kiddie, very clearly not a collector's type piece type stuff. Talking Ahsoka. No, that's something that like 8-year-old kids would want. If 8-year-old kids wanted Star Wars stuff, but they don't. They don't. And so it's not selling. So it ends up at Ollie's. And then months or years down the road, it ends up at clearance at Ollie's. So it's hyper discounted.
Oh yeah. Dude, they're clearancing out Shang-Chi for $1.99 now.
Still too much.
Look, I ain't buying it. I don't think anybody's out there buying
I don't think anybody else is either.
Guys, you got to remember this. And this isn't to be I don't want to say this. When shit at a discount store goes on clearance, it's deader than disco. In what world is that a positive thing? This is the dumbest take I've ever heard. Somebody once told me that it is good that these toys are at Ollie's because they're minority characters and now minority kids can afford to get them. That was the most fucked up thing anyone's ever said to me, because it's like, wait a sec.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Rewind.
Register that.
I need you to say that again.
I was told that Star Wars, those kind of figures being good at clearance, because now like minority kids can get those at those stores, meaning they're poor, meaning they have to shop at those stores to get toys. Yes.
There's a word for that.
Since we have new people joining us, here's what happened in the episode. Nothing.
I mean,
no, honestly, there was okay, here's a 30-second recap. It starts on the ship. You see you see May escape from the Jedi. They go have a space fight. She crash lands on a planet. He goes to find her. Kamir and Osha land on that planet, as well as the other Jedis. They're all on their way to this planet again, Brendok. Kamir and Sol fight in a pretty decent lightsaber duel. May tells him not to kill Kamir. Then Osha appears to kill Sol. Then the Green Jedi comes and finds everybody's body. And then Osha and May go to this tree. She wipes her mind. They cry it out. Osha is now an evil Sith with Kamir, and they're in love. And the Vernestra, the Green Jedi, she recaps everything and blames Sol for everything. So he is the true villain of this story. And then Yoda appears, and he's stupid.
Not only stupid, but he's also somehow 120 some odd years older than he ought to be. He looks. I wasn't kidding. It looked like they just found the old puppet from Empire, and it was so destroyed, but by then they didn't have any money left because they had already blown their budget on hookers and blow instead of actually making a coherent show. And they probably couldn't even get a front shot of Yoda because they used the same puppet, so it was like all destroyed. Have you seen like shots and photos of like some of the old?
That was all CGI on that Yoda, man. That was a CGI puppet, and it looked terrible.
If he was CGI, then yeah, he looked like ass.
Hey, look, Dirty Senpai. If I were to do that, that would be messed up. No kid deserves that kind of toy on Christmas. We do toy drives here. We want to send those kids good toys. Yeah. I would much rather buy every kid in America a Batman action figure before
or an Axel Foley.
No, I'd buy everyone in America for me and keep them here on my shelf. Like, this is Axel Foley.
You would have a room that's just a shrine to Beverly Hills Cop. I get it. I respect it. I respect it.
Like, in my basement, I'm putting a movie theater. And what I want in that movie theater in the lobby area is like a Beverly Hills Cop lobby, because I actually own 1984 and 5 from Paramount Studios, the merchandise that they would send to movie theaters to display in the theaters. So I have those lighted signs that you have to, those box signs that you put in front of the light, and it will say like and all the showtimes. I have a brand new one of those in a case from Paramount Pictures. It came in like another box, and it's like property of Paramount. I don't know how I got it, eBay, but like I say, I want to get everything, and damn it, I want to get a film reel, and that's kind of all I need. I got a jacket, and maybe I would like to get. We are very proud of Leslie.
Oh, yikes! Yeah,
I'm glad you have such low standards at Lucasfilm. We here in the real world would like to tell you that it was a waste of time and a waste of money. And I think it's time for me to actually cancel Disney Plus and not worry about anything for the channel. I don't think the audience cares. I
don't know what else they could do at this point.
I'm not even going to do Japan, probably. Fuck this show. Anyway, what did Sol do that made him bad? Does anyone actually understand? Well, KD, Nothing. Let me tell you. So what Sol actually did. Here's Sol's entire trajectory. Sol initially was on Brendok with other Jedi because they were stationed there to find divergence. Mm-hmm. He was looking around and he saw the two kids and he goes, something's off, because he sees the girl use the Force. So he realizes that something's strange here, and he actually is on the right path the whole time. But on the fateful night of when everything went down and the shit hit the fan, as the kids like to say, Sol was chasing the other Jedi back there so he wouldn't do something rash. Then the mother went to attack him as a space cloud. Yes, she becomes a dust cloud and attacks. And in self-defense, he sticks a lightsaber into a sentient cloud that then transforms back into the mother. He feels terrible about it and does not further attack. The girl is told, go get angry, go kill. So the girl, May, goes and kills or tries to kill her sister with fire. Then the other Jedi are trying to save the other Jedi. They do not attack the Coven of Lesbian Space Witches. All they do is, in fact, save Kelnaka, which magically kills all those lesbian space witches from the Coven. Then Sol tries to save Osha and May, but he's only strong enough to save one, and Osha survives and May falls to her death.
Contrived writing.
The real crime of the show, of Sol, is he lied. A man lied to a woman, and that makes him guilty of death. That's the message of this story.
And having his legacy completely shat on.
And then another, I hate them. This is the most mean-spirited show on television. Like, folks, this is terrible. Taker 610 says, May just sucked into a hole, guys. I actually joked that May would fall into a shaft like Luke did in Cloud City, and I was kind of right. You were. That walkway looked just like the shaft in Cloud City. Yeah, we're talking about how shafts look, folks. It looked like the thing he walked through after he was he kicked Vader down the pit, and he was like walking through that shaft. I was getting Empire Strikes Back vibes too.
But he also makes another good point here. Leslie showed us what happened and then told us something else happened. Like that, the writers, we were talking about this earlier. Like, don't do this, writers. Like, if your goal is to get the audience on board with you and to get them to believe that the Jedi were actually the aggressors here, don't show the witch bitches as the aggressors in the flashbacks, because that's what you did. And so then when you try to tell us that, no, the Jedi were actually the aggressors, we know better because we watched it happen with our own damn eyes.
Yeah, don't show us everything if you want us to feel sympathy for these ladies. That was your mistake. Well, that was one of your mistakes.
Everything was a mistake, but yeah. That was a huge one. Like, if you wanted our buy-in there, which, to be frank, they don't have the writing chops to get me to do that anyway, because I like the Jedi. You're not going to convince me that the Jedi were evil here. But if you were going to have any chance of convincing anyone of this that is a Star Wars fan, mind you, specifically, you probably don't want to show Jedi acting in self-defense and having the people that you want us to think are the actual good guys and the victims here being the aggressors. That's not a good plan.
It's not a plan. It's a trap. A trap to ensnare audiences and wasting their time and money. Paul, yes, you're right. She's talented or untalented, excuse me. Lizzo cannot act, but she's an eye candy. I just want to put that on screen for the audience. If I had to read it, so do you, folks. So do you.
What?
I don't know Lizzo personally, and I hope to never meet her, but I don't get the appeal. The music's not that great.
No.
She plays a flute and dances around in spandex. I'm sure a lot of people have done that in the privacy of their own homes, but they kept it there.
And she probably should have been part of that group that kept it there.
And I know you're asking, Jeff, what about you? I don't play the flute, so not me.
Why did I know that you were going to go exactly to that place? This son of a bitch.
Thank you, John. Yeah, a healthier lifestyle these days for a while now. Feeling good, real good, actually. I can't wait till tomorrow when I will hopefully forgotten all of this show.
Oh, you still got to do your review video.
And another one for Saturday, because there's a window of time where you have to talk about this.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's rough.
I know,
man.
right?
I'm glad I'm not a YouTuber.
Yeah, me. No, joking. I like it.
Me too.
I get to
almost 200,000 channel. It's fine.
Yeah, that is what it is. I gotta say, man, I'm excited to now, because of Mark Hamill on Twitter. I have some new fuel for stealing Solo 2.
Good.
And no, folks, it's not called Electric Boogaloo, and it's not called Mark Hamill, we're coming for you. The tentative title is Shadows of Bullshit Stealing Solo 2, but that's the joke title. I really don't have a title, but I'll tell you this. I got the cover. I figured it out today. I was doing my drawing warm-ups because I keep myself fresh. And I went, that's the cover. So I wrote it down, and then I started coming up with beats for the story. Like, I already knew the outline. If you've read Stealing Solo, you know what happens to Harrison Ford at the end. Well, this one picks up with Mark Hamill. See, and when Harrison Ford goes away, his popularity skyrockets, and Mark Hamill is very jealous. So he figures out what happens to him, and then he holds us hostage to basically give him a career boost that he's desperate for. That's the story of that one. And then the final chapter, aka the final book, they dig, maybe it's crazed Mark Hamill. He'll dig up the corpse of Carrie Fisher and we'll reanimate her like Frankenstein, and we will make a trilogy. So Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo.
It's too perfect, dude. It's too perfect. I already want book 3.
I'll say this, folks. I told you that I would do this if Stealing Solo has sold out. We're down to the final five boxes now, and probably still about 35 of the Phantom Menace editions. That's awesome. You don't realize how many of those books were printed. The fact that we're down to those low of numbers means I did something
awesome.
right. So thank you, guys.
That is awesome.
Xavier God says, Andrew, thoughts of the Dragon Ball theme park in Saudi?
I have seen nothing about it, but I guess as long as they have some cool shit there and shit on Gohan, that's all that matters to me.
You like the shit on Gohan too?
I hate Gohan.
He's
useless. He has 2 cool moments in his entire life. When he goes Super Saiyan 2 against Cell, and when he goes Mystic against Super Buu. That's it. Other than that, he's useless, and I hate him.
I don't like Gotenks. That's the character I think's annoying.
I don't think anybody likes Gotenks because he's freaking dumb.
I don't like any of the kid characters. Jason Evangelista, thank you for reading Stealing Solo. And yes, folks, people do say it's a good book, and they call it laugh out loud funny. All the promotion that I use and talk about the book, those aren't my words. Those are what people tell me. And I have watched people read that book. I gave it to somebody on an airplane. They started reading it. They were laughing. I gave it to a friend who doesn't. I had actually just met her that weekend for the first time. And she picked up the book and started looking at it, and she was cracking up laughing. So I'm just telling you what people tell me in the reactions. And if I may say so myself, don't sleep on Wokebusters. It's funnier than Stealing Solo and bigger than you can possibly imagine. But I don't care. Everybody will get their books, and we'll move on to Stealing Solo 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. I can't wait. I'll tell you the cover idea afterwards because I think you'll get a chuckle out of it. I just don't want to tell anybody. I want to just show it to them and go, okay, I'm sold. But you won't be sold yet because we're going to wait till the book's done. But that's it. I don't want to talk anymore about it. It's anything to get away from the Acolyte. That's really what it is, folks. I feel like Sue Storm or Kitty Pryde or somebody like stuck their psychically powered finger into my brain and then just like swirled it around because it hurts to think about this. KD, thank you very much for your super chat. In the episode 8 finale, Soul jumps off the bridge, giving Kimir the high ground. Isn't that a major mistake in a lightsaber battle? Yes. But the people writing that don't think about those things. You know, guys, you don't need a team of Star Wars diehard fans to make something that makes sense. All you need to do is get a crew of people to watch what came before it. Watch one fucking
watch episode 3.
Yeah.
At least.
All you got to do is watch the thing that came before it, folks. They clearly watched Beverly Hills Cop 1 through 3 and realized 3's shitty, so we're going to make fun of it and not talk about it anymore beyond this one scene. That is the best legacy sequel.
That's how you do that.
And that's how you should handle all these properties. Like Back to the Future does it right, where you just don't make any more movies. But if you're going to make another one, you go Beverly Hills Cop, you go Top Gun Maverick. That is good metrics.
Top Gun Maverick was a really great follow-up after decades. It was 3 decades later that movie came out?
Yeah, 86 to 2022. Yeah, over 30 years.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna draw
the creators cared.
Oh God, well, that's the thing about Tom Cruise and Eddie Murphy and a couple of these guys. They know that their biggest days are behind them, but they also know who their signature characters are, and they realize they get one shot to revive them and revive their career. Eddie Murphy came back on the SNL skit. He did My Name is Dolomite, and then he did Coming to America 2, which sucked. A lot of people were scared. but he knew deep down that Axel Foley is his character. And I watched a behind the scenes interview with the whole crew, and they kept talking about how they kept coming to him. We want to do the banana in the tailpipe. We want to do the banana in the tailpipe. And he kept going, no, 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 I will not do that again. Because he knew it didn't make sense for his character. Same thing with Tom Cruise. He liked Maverick. He wanted to make this a good movie. Tom Cruise made it a really good movie. So all due respect to those guys, like they get that shit. And that is what I want to see. People that just get what came before it. Because you have to follow, when you're making a sequel or something in the same universe, you have to follow the rules of how it goes. That's all you really have to do. Then you can stretch and go different ways. But stop trying to, I'm going to make it my way. You're not Limp Bizkit, okay? Do we like the show? Yeah, we're giving it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
easy. 9.5. Why are you lowballing, Jeff?
Look, the Olympics
is it just because it was written by a woman?
It didn't have enough female representation in the show.
That's the issue. We needed more women and minorities in this show.
There are never Hispanic people in these shows. They're just like Asian, Black, and then the
I never thought about that. But maybe that's because I don't freaking look for it.
Neither do I. That's the thing. Oh God, I'm in the wrong stream. They like the show. I hope you're being serious right now. You missed the best part of this stream then.
Wow. I know you really did. Where we wanted to freaking blow our own brains out.
With a lightsaber.
Yeah.
It'll be painful. You know that picture of Luke Skywalker that they photoshopped to him like looking into
the yeah. That's been me. That's been me tonight. Holy hell, man. I don't even really know where to start with how I'm going to cleanse my palate from this. Like, genuinely cleanse my palate from this.
Okay. Now, Steven, if you're not joking with us, we spent the last hour metaphorically pulling our hair out over how shitty and stupidly poorly written. Fuck, I can't even talk straight anymore. Metaphorically speaking, for the last hour, we've torn our hair out over this show. The bad writing, the bad characters, the bad motivation, and the bad message. Folks, I'm not this morality police. Please do not take me that way. But the message behind this story is so mean-spirited and wrong. That's the issue I take with it. You know, lying to what the fuck? They always teach you 2 wrongs don't make a right. Leslie Headland does not know that. All they made is garbage. So,
I don't think she knows what a lot of things are, to be honest.
Steven, if you like the premise of this show, you'll love the premise of this book where a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake it in their basement. Go to stealingsolo.com to get yourself a copy and really, really have a good story experience with Star Wars.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know how and just to talk to the chat, because folks, we're gonna wrap this up at 90 minutes. We have hit everything there is to say about this show, and so there's nothing else to say. But
because this show had almost nothing to say and nothing to offer.
And if I get to bed now, it means I can have more rest for Good Morning Pop Culture. Because you guys liked the Monday show.
I was so happy. I was not expecting it either. I was, just in the first hour or so of my work morning. I'm like, I'm chilling here with my coffee. All of a sudden, I get a notification on my phone. The fuck? Good Morning Pop Culture. Hell yeah.
I had fun with it, and I already wrote tomorrow's episode. I've already uploaded it. And folks, I'm testing something out because our lack of growth perplexes me. And I think there's a specific culprit that I'm onto. So I'm testing something out.
Okay.
And we'll find out later if it worked or not. But and I'm not giving up. I want a gold play button, then a diamond play button, and then I want a play button that's only for me. An NWO play button. Yeah, folks, when I get my diamond play button, I'm going to spray paint NWO on that shit because that's too sweet, okay? Fucking love them. But, yeah, there we go. Boom. I was watching a shoot interview with Scott Hall before the show, and I really didn't want to turn it off. I was really into the shoot interview because he was talking about ring rats, and I was laughing my ass off, and then the Acolyte happened. Xavier to God, thank you very much for your super chat. Xavier God says, rate Son Goku's main techniques from your least favorite to your most favorite. Kamehameha, or Kamehameha Wave, Kaioken, Spirit Bomb, Instant Transmission, and the Dragon Fist. Let's see. Is Dragon Fist in the newer stuff? Because I don't remember the Dragon
Fist made its original appearance in one of the movies.
Okay, then I do not know Dragon Fist, so that's going to be my least favorite. Uh my okay, so I'll do Dragon Fist, then Instant Transmission. Honestly, the way you wrote those, Spirit Bomb, then Kaioken, then the Kamehameha, because that's so epic. Like when Dragon Ball Z was new in America, people would just go like Kamehameha and scream at each other and shit. Like that.
Can confirm.
Yeah, that shit was
my friend, my stupid friends and I on my street growing up did that shit.
That's the one you always would do. You wouldn't go, Kaioken times 20 and all that shit. Everyone would go Kame, charging it up.
Yeah.
But I like
for me, it'd probably it'd probably be Spirit Bomb, Instant Transmission, Kamehameha, also known as the Destruction Turtle Wave, then Kaioken, and then Dragon Fist. I actually really like the Dragon Fist attack. It's one of those that I totally get. Like, I mean, you haven't seen the movie, and if you haven't watched GT, it was used in there as well. But it looks badass when it's in use. Like it's really one of the coolest moves in the franchise for me.
I want to go back and watch all the movies, and I even want to. I'm just waiting on the right version of Dragon Ball Z to be released. And what I mean is I'm waiting for the 4K or a good Blu-ray version that has the original aspect ratio, but not just that one level up box set that came out. I need all of it to come out because I will commit one more time to all of Dragon Ball Z, but it's got to be unedited. I want the Bruce Falconer music. I want 4:3 ratio. I want the picture quality and the color to be done right. And I don't want all that DNR garbage. I do care about my animation and I do care about picture quality to that level. You know, folks, a lot of people here in the chat are, we talk about the writing. We care about the writing. But, my favorite part of media is usually the visuals. But you can't have good visuals without a good story. So I understand the script comes first. That's why he's always so happy. Now, I got to check out the Dragon Ball Z movies eventually, like the Garlic Jr. saga and all that stuff as well. I'm looking forward to catching up with those. I did enjoy Dragon Ball Z, but I'm glad I didn't buy a bunch of action figures during my rewatch, Andrew. I would have spent like $300 and then been
it's easy to do.
It's like, I don't need Piccolo and Vegeta and Trunks. Krillin would be lower on my list of ones to buy, I'll be honest with you, dude. Okay. I have to check this out.
Yeah. Once we're off air, that'll show you the Dragon Fist.
All right, cool. You want me to do anime content? I am. I am going to do anime content. Now, here's the thing, folks. Since we have a lot of people here, don't click away. You can help us direct the channel. In terms of anime content, what would you like to see? Do you want to see me try to get into new shows that are hot and new and give you those types of reviews? Are you trying to have me check out classic anime? Like, tell me what would be interesting for you, because I do like the art form. I do enjoy it, and I do appreciate it. I'm willing to watch the stuff that you guys want me to check out. Please don't recommend like One Piece right away, because I'm not going to commit to 1,000 episodes. And here's the thing. Somebody in the chat sent me the book, and I read the first 20 chapters of the book. It's fine, but I don't like stories where the kid is a protagonist. Like the protagonist is a child. I'm just not interested in watching kids as the protagonist. Even as a child myself, I liked Power Rangers, and I know it's a kiddie show, but they were teenagers. I'm 5. They're like 24-year-old actors playing kids. Those were just grown-ups to me, so the Power Rangers were cool. But Spider-Man, when I'm a kid, he's an adult. Batman's 35-year-old man. All my favorite. Indiana Jones is a grown man. Han Solo's older than Luke. I never enjoyed watching like the kid protagonist. So if you're going to recommend anime, give me ones that are either a little more violent, a little darker, where the protagonist is a little older, and it doesn't have as much like high energy, jumping around with fucking victory signs and the giant tears. Like a lot of the stereotypes that people dump on, I don't enjoy those types of shows. They're just, I don't get why they're that way. The other ones all make sense to me, and I love the art form. But then there's those crazy like hyperkinetic ones that I'm just like, okay. But I will watch Shin-Chan. That show's awesome. Okay, Gungrave, Gunboy. Here's the thing, folks. You can shoot me an email, info@worldclassbullshitters.com. You guys can help us by telling us what you want to see anime-wise. You got to remember, folks, sometimes we don't really know what you want until you tell us. But then once you do, we're happy to oblige. Just ask our patrons. Dr. Coffee says, Jeff, trying to describe the plot of The Acolyte legitimately sounded like a stroke victim. I was scared there for a minute there, buddy. Me too. I lost my memory.
Oh, God. I wish I could lose my memory of watching this show. That would be
I
ideal.
won't forget Clone Geek. And Clone Geek, don't worry, I got your email up too, so I'll read that. Don't worry. Folks, that's why I keep pushing the new email, info@worldclassbullshitters.com. We got our big boy pants on. We got the .com. We'll build a website. I'll put shit on it. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I want to do more anime content. I wish we could find a way to break into gaming content, but that just wouldn't work. Like, I'm good at Halo. I'm good at Tony Hawk. I'm good at wrestling games. You know, I might train. If there's ever a 2K WWE tournament, I'm going to compete. And I will document my training like Rocky. Instead of eating raw eggs, I'll just play that game nonstop. I'm already good at it. I took a couple years off because they stopped making games. But at my height, I was unbeatable. My friends hated playing me, so we always played 6-man matches, so they didn't fight me. But I always would win because I know how to read the frames of animation. I know exactly what moves you can hit from what angle. I know exactly how to reverse everything. It's fun. I still enjoy the game. But they've changed up the game. So now I'm not an expert anymore because the game's not played that way. But I'm still good, and I don't really lose at it. My point is, if they ever have a professional version, I will be there. Ah, man, just as we're closing things out, what is up, Script Doctor?
Yeah, sorry I'm late, guys. I had to watch the episode a little later than planned.
Wasn't it terrible?
Pretty bad. Very melodramatic. Boring lightsaber scenes trying to emulate a couple of different other movies that have done them far better. Weird, old-looking guy hiding in a cave with a creepy hand. That was
Darth Plagueis?
That was Plagueis.
Yep.
Supposedly.
And so that's what, suggesting that either this Khmer guy is Sheev or before Sheev.
No, just one of it could have been an apprentice before Sheev.
Yeah. So yeah, it was something.
Dude,
It's over. Yay!
Yeah.
if that was Emperor Palpatine,
He's a lot older than I thought in the prequel
and
trilogy.
he's part Asian now?
Yeah.
Like, Ian McDiarmid
He's actually
is white
supposed
as
to
they
be a
come.
redhead. His natural hair color is supposed to be red.
Oh, just like Lex Luthor?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe he's the son of Osha and Khmer, because she has kind of red hair.
But like my complaint about the Acolyte earlier, that's not how genetics would work. So that guy would come out to be a quarter white. He'd be 1/4 white, whatever percent, half of whatever Manny Jacinto is Asian, and then that part black. He would look more like me than Ian McDiarmid. So
yeah,
I mean, there's a 25% chance he'd look more like you than Ian McDiarmid. That's the other part too. It's messed up. There's always a 25% chance you will look like not your mother or father, but one of their relatives or possible like sibling that they would have had, because that's how the weird signs of genetics work. Then the further you go up on the parent with the grandparents and great grandparents and so forth, that percentage obviously fractures out even more. But yes, that's it wasn't a story. Like, that's the thing. It was just, we want to tell this red herring of a story, and then we want to blame it all on the guy that got force choked to death.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened.
Like, I was hoping that he wasn't dead. I was like, come on, don't be actually dead. This was stupid. Like, why doesn't he fight back?
Yeah, like he has. I mean, the thing is, my understanding is that it's very difficult to force choke a Jedi who can also control the Force and put up a block of some sort. So he basically just acquiesced, and that was made even worse, because now he's just doing.
He
like
even
the same
says
that
it's
Corbin
okay.
did. Yeah. Yeah, it's very contrived, empty. There's no goal. Like the character's goal comes at the very end, and then it's like, well, okay, why do these two have to separate now at the very end? Why do they have to wipe her mind? Can't both of them go? There's no reason for them to stay. Did the ship only have 2 seats? Because I was not led to really believe that. I mean, if anything, they could just steal the ship that Saul came in on. That's a nice, spacious thing, and they could make off with the planet there, destroy their other ship, and take off back to Act 3. I'm going to call it Act 3 because it's not Act 2.
I love Ryan Johnson's on the nose naming.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew and I both had jokingly but kind of agreed that this was worse than Last Jedi. Would you agree with that terrible metric?
Last Jedi's worse. I mean, this is bad, but for a whole different metric, right? Because these are characters they made up that had nothing to do. The Last Jedi actually portrays a lot of character aspects of the original stuff and takes a plausible Force idea and executes it so terribly that it becomes a joke, which is like, that's Leia using the Force to pull herself back into a ship, but long after she has already been floating and kind of having any moisture on her body crystallize into ice. It's like, no, I could see a Jedi, grabbing onto a ship and being dragged by that ship in order to, get closer to it, because that's interesting aspect. A Force pull in a zero gravity environment would allow you to rejoin whatever it is you're pulling. That makes sense. But to do it in that manner, in that way, to not have it where, the hull blows out and then the atmosphere inside is trying to eject her out of the ship, and she should have reached out her hand and then just kind of held in place, fighting the force of the venting atmosphere to show, oh, she's using the Force to hold still, because that's a cool action set piece. Not having her just blown out, toppling over head over heels, and then all of a sudden just kind of gliding back in so gracefully into not only a zero G environment, but essentially a vacuum.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah.
The best meme is this thing called a shooting star meme, where they have Leia just like fly through space and through other movies and other timelines. And it's great. And it plays
the Organa over the moon, that type of
That's great.
Somebody made a custom figure of her like flying on the bubble. I really want to get that, but I really don't want to spend like $200 on a custom Star Wars toy.
Yeah, I mean, well, the biggest crime of this season or this show of the Acolyte is that it abandoned its premise too soon, and it brought in its objectives too late.
Yep.
And I mean, that's and then everything else just kind of falls apart because the characters are not coherent enough to understand what they want, what their goals are. We have no clue what Kamir is really after. There's this ambiguous thing of being able to kill a Jedi without a weapon. So it's a Force choke after all, which is like, that's nothing special. That's nothing out of reach that has ever been discussed with the Jedi. It comes as like a heel turn, especially for Osha, because she hasn't been exercising any muscle memory or access to the Force for years. And yet she's able to turn around and pull it off first time here. You have the stupid kung fu fights, which I will grant this. I had to rewatch it again because at normal speed, it looks a little ridiculous. But if you speed it up to like 23, 28% a little bit faster, it looks like a proper kung fu fight almost because they're not as stiff. The movement's so fast that it actually works out better. That's just a weird thing that I see when actors with no proper dance or fighting experience try to do fight choreography. They're very stiff. Cynthia Rothrock actually talked about this in an interview many, many years ago because she started fighting. She's one of the better combat fighters who's also worked in movies, can't act for anything, unfortunately, but she's a very, very good fighter. And she talked about like the fluidity of a fight scene is what makes the fight scene intimidating. So if you are stiff and you're rigid all the time, even though you're trying to like tense your muscles or whatnot, you don't come across as authentic. You have to be fluid. And Bruce Lee even talks about that, like fight like water. When, your opponent expands, you contract. When your opponent contracts, you expand, all that type of stuff. And so in this case here, you got something where I think, yeah, if they've just racked up the speed, they probably could have sold that thing better. But even the lightsaber duels were boring. It's just it is a show as empty as Ahsoka, and it will take some more thought onto this, but I will say, because this is a show which at the end of the day ends up becoming just a show about a conspiracy within the Jedi, within a smaller group of the Jedi, that's at least something. Whereas Ahsoka is, we just need to get Thrawn back to the galaxy. And it's like, there's nothing more after that or during that. And it makes even the characters from the other Star Wars franchises, which weren't too great to begin with, even more boring. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to watch either of them again.
Nope, me neither.
And I would be shocked if they managed to get a second season out of this, given the expenses and the return aggregate. So
I will be following the whole, hey, it's losing, X amount of viewers, this and that. Don't worry, folks. I only have to review this one more time, but we do get to report on how bad it did, and we all want to hear
1/5 that of The Mandalorian in audience retention.
Speaking of retention, it sounds like, that's a topic for another time. But yeah, it's just about Temu. It's completely irrelevant. Sorry. I was just watching YouTube videos. But anyway, back to what is relevant, this show. Ugh. See, I'm like a kid trying to get out of doing his homework. I'm like, hey, Mom, can I wash your car? I really don't want to, do this project. That's what it is. It's like, I thought I was free from the Acolyte, man. I thought I was free. But now you're here. So what'd you think of Yoda?
The back of his head?
There it is. I already made that joke. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, look at that. I got to see the back of his head. And he still doesn't have hair. I figured he would have had a little bit more hair back then. 100 years,
That's what I said. Like Andrew said the same thing. Like, why
does he look like he does in Empire? Yeah.
Because to either one of two reasons. Either they have a digital puppet of that version from The Last Jedi that they just reused the asset, or they really want to make you feel like it's 1980 again and go, oh, nostalgia for Yoda. Look, I don't have nostalgia for Yoda. He's a good character. I like him. But he ain't moving the needle for me. I'm just like, oh, it's Yoda. All right. Sorry.
And guess what? She's going to lie to Yoda.
Now you made him look incompetent because she was able to pull one over on him. And he also somehow didn't feel through the Force all of these Jedi dying. That's fine.
A woman she is. He'll just say something about a woman she is, painful, whatever. He'll make excuses for her too. And then we'll learn how Luke Skywalker was secretly a bigot and how, who cares? Well, honestly, I was going to say this for Good Morning Pop Culture, but I'll tease it. Like, I think a lot of this Mark Hamill stuff is turning people off of Luke Skywalker. And I know it's a lot of hyper responsive stuff right now because it's a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to slowly impact how people look at him and how they look at his treatment in The Last Jedi. They'll just go, and just kind of move on.
Oh, I mean, The Last Jedi broke him. He's never, you saw him break. I mean, just that meme of him looking at Rian Johnson as he's talking after he sees for the first time what The Last Jedi was. He was gone. He's never going to come back ever again. Like, he's like, this is the last movie I did with Carrie, and this is what you did with it. And he's got complete evil in his eyes towards Rian Johnson. And I think after that, the rest of his world was destroyed and gone. Because even when you see his post interviews, when he talks about Star Wars, he doesn't have that energy anymore. He doesn't have that life anymore. He tries to bring it back, but he can't. You can tell. And I think it's just been a downhill spiral ever since then. Because again, for the first year leading up to The Last Jedi, his Trump rhetoric was almost non-existent. He didn't care. Didn't bother him at all. Because again, Last Jedi came out in 2017. And after that, and then after more and build up and whatnot, it turned on and kind of went to 11 there.
We'll keep going. Let me just read a couple of these. Our friend Georgian says, I know you said you saw Angel Cop, British voiceovers trying to swear like Americans. Yeah, it was great. But have you seen Mad Bull 34 Kite or AD Police? I took a screenshot of those. I will see if I can have access to one and watch one, because that kind of shit, if it's in that like adjacent genre, maybe it's like police forces or Secret Service agents or some kind of thing in anime, people with guns, I'm on board. It's like an action movie, but to me,
there was a lot of those in the 80s and early 90s.
That's what I want to watch. Like, if they're like, Jeff, you have to make a live action adaptation of an anime or you die, and I don't want to die, I would go with something like that. I would do a hyper, like, over the top, maybe not comedic, but just like an over the top action movie based on one of those things, and just get characters that look kick ass, and it would be kind of easy to follow. I mean, Alita Battle Angel was good. I don't think Ghost in the Shell is a bad movie like a lot of people think. It just was fine. Now, Dragon Ball Evolution can suck a fat one.
We do not speak its name.
Anime does not need to be retranslated into live action, in my opinion. I
agree.
It fits where it fits. As cool as it would be to see a CG or some sort of practical model of like a Gundam in some point, it just wouldn't be worth it at the end of the day. It really wouldn't.
It'd be like Ready Player One, or it would just be Pacific Rim, and it's Pacific Rim with a different model.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. Now, if they make a movie where a Gundam fights Godzilla, that'd be cool. Look, it wouldn't work. I get it, but
it would only work if it was guys in rubber suits and rubber monster suits, because that would be cool. Because I will say this, even before they went full CGI with the Shin Godzilla line, they still had actors in really exotic and well done rubber suits among digital sets, hitting each other and knocking themselves into buildings. Granted, they were, I think, green poles with some tennis balls on them, but it's still, like it just looks better that way, in my opinion. I really like that stuff. I mean, if I got the dream to like do a Power Rangers movie, I would not be CGIing. I would actually build a 5-foot city of Angel Grove and then have these two guys in costumes.
Wait, doing a Power Rangers movie is your dream project too?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a script and I pitched one back in 2014 that unfortunately lost out. But the whole idea was like, yes, you want to do that, and you can use your optical effects and your digital CGI to like touch up things and make it more fluid. Cover up certain points where the costume kind of separates and you can tell the guy's arms underneath, but you have to have a little bit of that humanness to it, that in-camera stuff going on. And I will say this, biotechnology as alien technology has been so overused, it's boring now. So let's have fun with the more practical.
Look, if you're going to do a Power Rangers movie, they got to don't put them in armor either.
No,
like find a way to make the spandex suit look. I honestly thought the first Power Rangers movie looked like shit. Even as a kid, I went, why don't they have the normal costumes on? And I went home after seeing that movie and I watched the TV show and I was happy again.
It's technically a multiverse film, but I actually wrote a joke because one of the subplots I have is that Jason has a crush on Trini, and when they morph for the first time, Jason's looking at her butt and you can't stop it. and then he's just like, what, these costumes are quite revealing, and and then you just kind of move on, because again, teenagers with attitude is the crux of what advertised the original Power Rangers.
But they had no attitude.
They had no attitude at all.
Goody Two Shoes is a after school special.
Exactly. So I was like, well, let's lean into that a little bit, because you have to make Power Rangers, you have to make a comedy. You can't make it a serious drama or anything of that. It is a comedy show. And the guys who played Bulk and Skull are actually quite versatile comedians. They've never gone bigger than they actually are. They actually keep stuff very close to the chest because they don't really want that level of celebrity. They like doing their own thing and they like their own autonomy. And even one of them, I think, has got like a PhD in some...
Jason Narvi,
right. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's what I pitched. I pitched a comedy that had some dry humor and some decent drama, and a nice little love story between parents and a child, and a kid, getting over the nerves to ask a girl he likes out. And that's what works for kids.
If I had the dream job of that movie as well, mine would be a lot different, because I think what makes Power Rangers work is the thing that everybody fails to do. They harp on the interpersonal relationships between the team and their lives. That was never what we watched that show for as a kid.
Nope.
Nobody. Like, if anybody's like, oh, I watched it because Billy was so, like, no, you watched it because they fucking did cool stuff.
Yeah.
Do a movie that focuses on the Power Rangers aspect. Like, I don't need to see their origin and their life and who's got messed up parents. Don't even show their fucking parents. They show up on the show every once in a while, here and there. They're divorced, they're this, they're that. But it was like, remember, folks, this is a 20-minute show. Maybe 7 minutes is dedicated to like the Angel Grove teenager stuff, and they have enough Japanese footage that they morph like for the first couple minutes, and then they fight, and then the day is saved. There's a robot battle. Like, don't make the big epic parts that people want a fraction of it. Like, make them in the suits most of the time. Send them to different places. Make them fight cool stuff. Base it off some of the comic books, but don't like. I really don't want to watch Jason get a brand new car and have Zach deal with racism on the football team and maybe Billy question his sexuality. Like, and then Kimberly's really smart, but everybody treats her as an airhead, and then Trini's whatever. Like, I just want to watch them fight monsters, and I want to see them like honestly, if I was making the movies, the first one would be the Green Ranger movie. Then the next one is them teaming with the Green Ranger and him losing his powers. And then the third one is him coming back with the White Ranger, because you scale up the threat. Rita then replaced by Zed, then Rita and Zed, and then you need the White Ranger. It's like, if you have to play in that playground, it's like you go that step. And like Rangers Forever was pretty bad because it was hokey. it like, again, the show is hokey, but the first season of the show is not hokey. And that's what people, again, the people that would adapt it go like, oh, you know, this and that and Rocky and these characters and how they all interact. No. Like, if this is my fantasy dream project, it's like the first season of the Power Rangers, and those characters don't switch over, and the tone doesn't switch over either, because it is less like weird, and it's still a kid's show and it's still funny. It's not dark or violent in that way, but it gets slapsticky as Saban takes over and they run out of Japanese footage to use. And I've gone back and watched it as an adult, and I'm like, I can see why 5-year-old me loved this part. And then I go, why did I watch it this far? And I think back, and I don't think I really committed to it. Like, I gave up on Zeo because it got stupid. So
it also kind of abandoned its premise, because I think one of the aspects of Zeo is that the power gets greater as the more you use it, and then they abandon it for cars, which is funny, because even the points where, like, when I did my pitch and then they brought me back to say, like, what would you do after that? I did the same thing, which is like, it'd be the Green Ranger, and then the third one would be Lord Zed. I didn't bring in the White Ranger because I felt the White Ranger is really part of another Sentai, and they just kind of wedged that in there to make it Mighty Morphin. I think that was a failure, personally. Although I did like the fact that they finally made Tommy a good character, because as a Green Ranger, he was an ass. He was never hanging out with his friends. He'd always be taking off his watch to do training on his own, not with his friends. And then when he finally did put it on, he's like, oh, okay, I'll go help. Kids especially, only liked him because he had a dagger, a shield, and he didn't have to jump inside his dinosaur to fight. Like, that's it. That was it. That is basically it. And it wasn't until he became the White Ranger that he actually became a character that cared and took responsibility for stuff.
He was my favorite. Like, when he was the White Ranger, I was obsessed, dude. Like, I still got my original White Ranger up there. But the Green Ranger was cool, but he was never my favorite. It was the Blue Ranger, because the Green Ranger would run out of power.
My favorite.
Who was?
Green was always my favorite.
We would have never had. Look, if you came over to my house to play with toys, I'd be like, you can be the Green Ranger, no problem. I would have never fought you on it, because I wanted to be the Megazord and the regular Power Rangers. Like, on my shelf, I keep the Green Ranger in his own section. I just kind of keep the main 5 colored ones together. Sorry, African-American ones. But look, I was just testing the waters to talk about this to see if the numbers would go down. The numbers really didn't go down. So
no, one of the things that, I mean, to your point, you don't really want to spend too much time on the 5 Power Rangers and their characters and stuff. That's why I kept them very simple. I made Zach, he's into drama, but his dad's a former football player and a football commentator, and he wants him into sports. Like, that's their conflict. It's an easy one you can write in and push out. Trini, she has a tiger mom, right? And they want her to graduate high school right away and go to college, and she's not ready for that. Kimberly is basically a valley girl trying to take advantage of her parents' divorce and has to realize that's stupid. Billy is normal. The only thing he's worried about is that his dad was part of the space team that opened up the space dumpster, and he's trapped in outer space or kidnapped.
I like that.
And Jason realized that his parents had him when he was when they were 16 years old. And he feels that the struggles that they went through growing up is his fault because he's an accident baby. And he has to realize that's not actually real. That's all in his head. And they're just quick, snappy things that get through. And it takes place over 48 hours. And the end of the first act starts with Rita invading the whole West Coast with putties, and the army's blowing up the putties, but they're mud. So they just kind of reconstitute back up, and they can't stop them. And then they end up. And so the pair Rangers have to kind of fight them off and retrieve weapons that have been hidden in somewhere in Angel Grove, which Rita's after as well, because then she gets the power to the Megazord, which helps her unlock the power that's within Earth's core that allows her to take over the galaxy, because I've made something special about Earth and several other planets throughout the galaxy that if you can tap into its energy, you have near unlimited power. And that's what she was doing in the first place on Earth that got her exiled 10,000 years prior by Zordon and his Power Rangers. And you just kind of wrap it up into a bigger universe and so forth. And yeah, it was a fun plot. And I'll probably have to rewrite it, but I'll never get a chance to pitch it again right now. Hasbro's freaking out with the Power Rangers brand.
Yeah, another company's about to start. Playmates is starting to do their own toys coming up, and they announced they're based off Mighty Morphin again. So
Yeah,
we're
well, I
in
mean,
this
that's the one
sports loop.
people really, really like, and I don't blame them. That's what started it all. And the Zyu Ranger original Sentai is also really fun. 50 episodes of really cool stuff, and you can watch it, I think, on Shout on YouTube. They stream it.
Yep.
Stream it 24 hours.
I caught that when I first moved back last year. I was like, I didn't have my TV or stuff hooked up, and I was like, I'm kind of bored. And so I just found that on YouTube, and I was like, I'm going to watch this and see what it's like. And I liked those episodes quite a bit, but I prefer the American music. So if I could like dub the Go-Go Power Rangers theme over that.
The Ron Wasserman stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too. That music really makes that show. If you do another movie, you can't just have some bullshit, whatever modern day people would like. You got to have this like driving guitar and the synth in the background and just like really hit home with those theme songs.
Are you kidding? Ron Wasserman's still alive. I'd hire him because he had a terrible deal with Saban originally. So if you did that, got him to do the music for that film, he'd at least get royalties.
Yep.
And I'm like,
right the wrongs that Chaim Saban did.
And there are a lot.
Yeah, I've heard stories of
$500 a week for actors to do that show. I'm like, that's below scale because you get, I mean, at least in the early 90s, you were getting at least $125 a day. So they were getting really ripped off. I don't blame the other three for wanting to renegotiate and then leaving.
The thing I like, though, if like in the terms of the cosmic scales, it's nice that the other actors that are still around or still alive, minus Trini, they can go to the cons too. It's like they've kind of retained their spot. Like Saban brushed them aside, but the audience is like, no, they're the real ones. And so when they show up to cons, they get the love just like they never left the show. I know the Red Ranger's kind of in some controversy, but
always in controversy, which is weird because he's the son of like military vets and honor and all this other stuff. And he was a paramedic in Afghanistan. And I'm like, why is he doing all this stuff? Like something's up. Something's really up. And then Amy Jo Johnson, she's a lovely actor. I've kind of bumped into her here and there. I never got to do a formal introduction, but she was working on Flashpoint in Toronto when I was kind of passing through, which is a, like kind of a SWAT procedural show. Last I remember, she was living in Quebec with her husband and daughter and having fun with that. And I think now she's getting back more into the Power Rangers con stuff way more frequently than she did before. And she's done a lot of songwriting, and she writes screenplays and directs a couple of her own movies. And yeah, she's still working, still making money. Smaller stuff, harder to find, but it's out there.
Hey, respect. TLJ Screwjob says, script. How was the Acolyte made? Not just it's bad, but but the mom turns into a smoke monster to say, take my daughter away. That makes sense. What?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it feels like a bunch of footage was cut for whatever reason. It also looks to me like it was one maybe 220 page screenplay that they decided to cut up to match the 8 episodes that they wanted to tell. I suspect that the first 2 episodes were the stuff we saw in the flashback, and maybe that wasn't really planned to be 2 separate episodes, but one that was a bit more cogent, and they were able to play around with footage outside of the normal intentions to give you that Rashomon thing. But yeah, it's really a messy show, and it worked to what a lot of us were predicting, is that all of those Jedi have to die by the end. I actually speculated that Soul probably would have gone into exile, kind of like Yoda at Dagobah, but that would have been too better, because and not as egregious. So then they just killed him off, and then of course they have Vernestra confirm that her pupil is Khmer. Doesn't say his name, which is that's their cliffhanger to try and say, well, you got to give us a second season now. You got to find out who this guy is. I don't care who this guy is. I really don't. Like you've done nothing to earn that with the audience.
Xavier to God, thank you very much. Rate Prince Vegeta's main techniques for your least favorite to most favorite. Gallic Gun, Big Bang Attack, Final Flash, Final Explosion, and Final Shine Attack. I don't, honestly, Xavier to God, I don't remember all of him all of his. I'll just go Gallic Gun's the best because that's the thing I think of every time I think of Vegeta. I was at a friend's house and I saw his kid's Vegeta figure and I thought Gallic Gun. So I mean,
Yeah,
there you go. That's the best one to me because the most memorable. And I'll say this: the earlier the episodes of Dragon Ball Z, the more I like them. So that Saiyan saga, I think that's incredibly interesting. Script, you talk about a ticking clock as a narrative device. I love a countdown in a story. It's like, man, this impending doom is coming. What's going to happen next? Find out on Dragon Ball Z. Like, I loved that. And then you wait. All these people train. You're watching their lives as they're getting ready for this fight. They don't know what's coming. This other guy's training on another planet. You're like, whoa, this is cool. And then they get there and they wipe everybody out. And then, like, the story goes at a logical rate. I do think every saga after that one goes, oh, now this one transforms, and then this happens, and then I got to destroy the planet, and then I got to escape on the ship. It's like it became too much. And
yeah,
then
the power levels kept on escalating more and more, and there's no limit to it. That's why I kind of prefer the original Dragon Ball series, because it's like got 3-4 seasons, and I liked it, especially once they, after they get the Dragon Balls and then the Wish with the underpants, and then you follow Goku for like a year doing his training while wandering around the world. And then when he comes back and he meets Krillin and Master Roshi, he's like, 6 inches taller than Krillin, and they're going to that tournament, and Master Roshi, puts on his disguise to beat everybody up to show them that they got more to learn. I mean, that was a fun follow-up story. And then when they followed up the next one, I'm not remembering that one as much, but I think there was actually a point even when Goku met Gohan, his grandfather, as a ghost, and fought him for a little bit, and then kind of was like, oh yeah, I miss you and everything, and then pass him off. It's just like sweet and endearing stuff that I never really was kind of repeated in the same way with Dragon Ball Z, and then the GT and the Super and all those subsequent mores.
They're not for me either. Drew, will you rate these for Xavier to God so we can give him an honest answer for his super chat?
Prince Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans. Main techniques, least favorite to most favorite. We got Gallic Gun, Big Bang Attack, Final Flash, Final Explosion, Final Shine Attack. I'm super classic when it comes to Vegeta for the most part, so I'm actually almost going to rate them in reverse order here. Almost. So I'll say Final Shine, Final Explosion, Big Bang, Final Flash, then Gallic Gun. I love Gallic Gun. That
Me too.
move, especially, it just so many memories from the Saiyan saga, and that Gallic Gun Kamehameha power struggle. That was its peak.
Yeah, I fucking
and
love
Vegeta's
it.
my favorite character next to Future Trunks. So
Vegeta's great. My first go through, I hated him because he was a bad guy, and then I figured out he became good. He's kind of like how Han Solo was, morally ambiguous than a hero. But Vegeta's great. I do need a Vegeta figure. I don't want to spend $100 on Vegeta yet. Enrique Vasquez, thank you for being a member for 17 months. Enrique, thank you, my friend. He says, Script Doctor, have you worked with BJ Novak, Michael Schur, or Paul Lieberstein? If so, how are they in real life? Jeff, in honor of the Acolyte, another one.
I've never worked with them, but I've met BJ Novak. He's a dick. He is exactly like the roles you see him play. No word of a lie. He's actually not well liked, but he knows how to get things moving. Michael Schur, never met, never worked with. Paul Lieberstein, like some of the stuff that Paul Lieberstein has done, but never got to meet or work with them. So
that was the Dirty D Senpai. Yeah, folks, never meet your heroes. If BJ Novak is your hero, press 1 in the chat.
I'm sorry. Again, him and Mindy Kaling, they did actually get along really well. And if you don't like Mindy Kaling, well, you should not be liking BJ Novak. They're two people of the same cloth, to put it politely.
Well, I don't want to ever meet either of them, especially Mindy Kaling.
Yeah.
If I was at some event and they're like, Jeff, here's Mindy Kaling, isn't it cool to meet her? Or how you would actually be introduced, because people don't talk like that. I'd just be like, hi, and I'd shake her hand, and I'd nod, and I'd smile, and then I'd excuse myself, and I'd never come back.
I will say this: BJ Novak is slightly better of a writer than Mindy Kaling. He did this one indie film where I think he wrote, directed, and starred, and he was okay in it, but Yeah.
Sorry, Enrique, to break your heart, my friend.
Yeah, sorry, man. Listen, there's a lot of writers out there. I've met many, but not all, and a lot of them are pretty good, and also fun to hang out with. BJ, no, not so much. He got very lucky with The Office, and then his career after that was kind of all predicated on The Office, like the one hit wonder thing, kind of like Akiva Goldsman. Although Akiva Goldsman I've never met, but he is a huge dick.
I guess these people just do it to make themselves feel better about themselves.
Remember, he's the guy that derailed Batman with Batman and Robin. He stole most of what was done with Batman Forever and put his name on it. He did Titans for that entirety of the run, and then walked away from it when he got Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And he's not even really show running Strange New Worlds. He's actually pawned that off to someone else, but he still takes the credit. So,
yep, sounds like a dick.
Yeah. All for an Oscar for adapting someone else's work far better. That was far better written than anything he could have ever done originally.
Now, let's read the email from Clone Geek, and then we're going to put this baby to bed. It's midnight, and I got to be up early.
Oh, we do have another one for that last Super Chatter, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, another one. Thank you.
Yeah,
let me pull that up, and I will press that for Enrique right as soon as I find it. Talk amongst yourself, folks. The topic is the Dutch East Indies.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one.
Oh. It's weird. You did that right away, because I was about to talk about the Indonesian War of Independence from like 1945.
Another one.
Another.
So our friend Clone Geek sends all of us an email. It says, "Dear Jeff, Andrew, and Script, thank you for suffering through the Acolyte so I don't have to. For years, I kept watching live-action Star Wars with the hopes that something might be good in it. It was pseudo-abusive relationship. The time that I've spent watching The Acolyte, the time I would have spent watching The Acolyte, I used to watch things that I actually enjoy, such as Rama 1/2. I don't think I've had that much fun as I'm currently having with the show in a long time. It's good to hear. Recently, I watched a filler episode that ended with Ramna, 4 suitors having a cook-off to see who would be the best cook for Ramna. And it was fun as hell. I actually want to watch that specific episode now, because I like to cook, and basically anything about cooking I'll watch. For those of you who don't know what Rama 1/2 is, it's about a 16-year-old Rama Satome who is arranged to be married to Akane, I guess, the youngest daughter of his father's old friend, Shao Tendo, so that Ramna can carry on the Tendo dojo. However, Ramna and father suffered a bizarre training accident where they each fell into one of the cursed springs of Jusenko. Those who fall into the springs would take form who have drowned in the past. And now when Ramna is splashed with cold water, he becomes a girl. When he is splashed with water, his body goes back to normal, while dear old Pops turns into a panda. It's just the core dynamic on the heart of the show. It's not what gets Rama's 2 other fiancés. Sorry. That's not getting into Rama's 2 other fiancés and all the other suitors that he and Akane have. Comedy and shoes. Now, doesn't that sound better than the Acolyte? Yes, it does.
Sounds pretty crazy, actually. Yeah, I think I've
one
heard
of the
of
wild animes. Yeah,
yeah,
it's an old.
Yeah,
one.
okay.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that like when I started college.
I'll do anime content. I gotta do it. You guys want it? Let's help those numbers grow, and we'll
just let me know.
Yes,
If you want a hand, I'm happy to dive in.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the audience would like to hear. Is what we'll do, folks, is until we hear from you guys, I'll do something I like and something that's popular that you guys want to hear about. And that way we can do a catch-up show. I'll tell you this, if we find a way to make it work, we could do an anime show, like a stream weekly, where it's like, all right, this is what I watched this week, and we talk about it and review it and shit like that. That's possible. I won't get one of those rice paper mat things that people hang up in those stores or kendo sticks or anything. I'm going to keep my own identity and be me.
We keep the kendo stick on the Thursday night show.
Yes. That's his new nickname, the kendo stick. What? I think he'll be surprised by it. But Kendo will be replaced this week. So, folks, send your love to Kendo on the show. We still have a quiz. But, guys, it's time to go. It's been a nice 2-hour show. The Acolyte's DOA, and we got to get ready for Good Morning Pop Culture. But, folks, we only have 11 days for Wokebusters. Let's make that thing cross its goal. You can go to Kickstarter, type in Wokebusters, follow the link in the description, or follow me on Twitter or any platform. I've been posting about it all the time. I'd like to thank everybody who likes and tweets and reshares it. Even if you have a copy already, do me a favor. Go out and retweet, share, and like it like that. That will help more people find it. We can cross that goal. Now, the original plan was to do Christmas 93, but it's time to do Stealing Solo 2 about Mark Hamill. So, folks, I'm not going to be doing a Kickstarter or anything like that. I'm going to go finish this book, get it all done. Then we'll figure out what we're going to do with it. But it's happening, and I'm going to make it happen this year because I already kind of have the story outlined and done. So I just don't tell you guys about these things. But I'm going to go do it, and I'll come back with it later. But I should have a cover in about a week or so. So
Cool.
Talk to me then about it. But until next time, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.